Hello, Dice Heads, and welcome to episode 9 of Minis and Movies. I am, of course, John Spencer, your host. Start off by saying I do thank you for your continued support of More Than Dice and Minis and Movies and Adventures of Sewer Bear and Gonzo's new Star Wars campaign that he's running and recording for you guys. We do appreciate that. This helps us to keep our equipment up to date, helps motivate us, and helps give us something back for spending all the time giving you guys some hopefully good content. If you ever have any ideas for me in particular, you can hit me up on Twitter at John O. Spencer. You can find me on Facebook at John Oakland Spencer, and you can hit me up at yahoo.com. It's John O. Spencer at yahoo.com. It's actually definitely not John O. Spencer at yahoo.com. It's actually John Oakland Spencer at yahoo.com. This is old notes and bad, so that makes this terrible. But I'm not going to redo it because, damn it, sometimes we make mistakes, and everyone needs to see that. Let me just fix my note there. All right. Well, tonight, I'm going to do things a little differently. I'm going to start off with the standard mini section, but I'm going to talk about our upcoming Armada campaign, and I think I'm going to do a little Infinity battle report from a game I played since I'm not on the main More Than Dice cast this week. And then I will follow that up by stopping, going downstairs, making my dinner, and watching XXX The Return of Xander Cage, and then coming back up and giving you guys super duper fresh thoughts about it. I'd thought of, and I might in the future with with another movie, just pausing the cast, going watching the movie on my computer, unpausing and saying notes as they come to mind, but I think that might be a little odd for you guys. Hey, if you have any ideas about that, hit me up and let me know. I am drinking what I call kids juice, which is just very low alcohol content Loco Nut coconut whiskey. Just taking shots of that as I feel free to. So let me get some of that here in my shot glass. This is, of course, a painting with John's shot glass. He may be semi-retired, but not forgotten in my case. Hey, Ron! Alright, let's start with an Infinity BatRep. I played my buddy For Real, aka Chris, who is actually going to be on this cast at some point. He expressed some interest in coming in and chatting about stuff. So I'm going to subject him to a horrible movie. He only has Netflix, so I'll have to do a Netflix movie. So if you guys have any good ideas for that, hit me up. But I played him Friday past, which is yesterday, for those of you not counting. And I have no idea what day this is going to come out, so telling you a day doesn't really help. But there you go. Look at that, a couple minutes in, already in full ramble mode. I am in the zone. So we played Infinity. We've been just playing some casual Infinity, nothing too serious, just some fun on Friday nights. It's a very fun casual game. You slow down, you get to look at the rules, you're not super worried about getting it all done in time. Definitely been enjoying that with him and Zach and the rest of the gang. I actually got some more people at the store who just start seeing us play casual games. They jump in because we're just having fun. And I will preface this with Chris said he had a fun time and enjoyed the game. And I preface because it was super duper one-sided, unfortunately. I let him choose the scenario. He chose the armory, in which there is an 8x8 room in the center of the table that is infinitely high. In the room, there are two, we'll call them dispensers, that you get to roll on the booty chart, so you get some sort of cool weapon armor or something out of that. The building is reasonably tough to get into. You'd need an anti-material weapon to blow a hole in the wall. There are 4 doors, one on each side of the room, but if you open one of them with your specialist troop, it opens all of them, and it does, of course, require a willpower roll like most things in this game. Victory point wise, you get points for having more rolls on the booty chart than your opponent from the dispensers. You get points for holding the room on turn 1, end of turn 1, the end of turn 2, and more points for holding it at the end of the game in turn 3. You also end up with 2 classified objectives, which are sort of the player-specific ones. You either roll 2 20-sideds, consult the chart for each one you get, and choose like, alright, I want this one and this one. Or we have the cards, so we just pull cards out and get the ones we got. So I set up the terrain afterwards. Fairly, I wouldn't say it was dense, but it was just good coverage. So there were some reasonable feeds of fire, but nothing crazy. It wasn't quite full American style, as we call it. American style terrain, unfortunately, is very, very heavy and makes certain things really difficult to use. Tags become almost worthless, and a lot of stuff is just super duper difficult. But mine's more middle style. There's nothing like one end of the board or the other, but there were some good fields of fire you could take. There were no big buildings in our deployment zones. They were all in the center of the building. And yeah, so I'm getting out the cards we had for our classified objectives, so I can tell you that. Sorry for the pause there. I don't remember them all off the top of my head because I've only been playing again for a while. So we started that off. I won the roll and chose to go second because there's advantage to going second because I can get in the room, clear it out, and it is easier for me to score since I have to hold it. He chose a side, and I deployed, and he deployed, and we went to it. I used one of my command points to. He's got two combat groups playing nomads. He's actually playing the Corregidor group, and he had. This is from memory, so it's not everything. He did have a Gecko, which is a light tag. He had two intruders, one with a sniper rifle and X-Visor, and one with a heavy machine gun. Those guys are camo guys. Those are very tough. He had a bandit, which is a camo guy. Sort of, basically, someone described him as like a Batman who does drugs. He had two Jaguars, which are sort of, like very violent gang guys. They have smoke grenades. They're pretty decent in close combat. They have some guns. He had Senior Massacre, who is a pit fighter, basically. He's basically Deadpool, if Deadpool was a pit fighter, and then got through it all and decided to go out and hire himself off as a mercenary. Like literally Deadpool, not like kind of Deadpool. He had a full link team of Alguacils, which are their standard troop, and then an extra one that was his lieutenant. I didn't know about. You don't know about lieutenant in general. So he had that on the other side of the in the back, hiding out. So he deploys there. He had a couple other models I don't remember off the top of my head, but they didn't take a huge part in the game. I was playing a list I played multiple times. I had a small combat group with a Delamy infantry with limited camouflage and inferior infiltration, and his weapons were Panzerfaust light shotgun. Super cool, cheap guy. Takes up part of your special weapon choices, but it's not that big of a deal, honestly. That group also had a Gulam, my basic infantry, but he was a forward observer with a rifle light shotgun. Just a good specialist to help you do stuff. I like to have a specialist in both groups just in case. I had two Nafatoons, one with rifle light flamethrower and another one with rifle heavy flamethrower. Those are again sort of line troops, but they're known for their fire weapons. And then I had a Ghazi Mutawa, who's like this crazy guy who runs out with lots of anti-comm equipment. They come with jammers, and they have emirats and chain rifles. They have a lot of cool equipment, and they have smoke grenades. They're pretty cool, but they're impetuous and irregular, so they don't add to your order group, and they also run towards the close enemy model first opportunity they get. My first group had another Ghazi Mutawa, same thing, chain rifle and all. I had another Gulam, but this one was a Doctor Plus with a medkit and rifle light shotgun. Also had a Nazmat, which is a little remote guy who lets you use your skills through him. I had a Lasik with viral sniper rifle, or as Chris called it, the AIDS gun. I had a Farzan with chain of command and boarding shotgun and contender. I love that guy because he hangs out camouflaged and makes it so I can use my lieutenant and not worry about him dying, because if he dies, he just takes over. I had a Najrun engineer with rifle light shotgun and decharges. I had a Fidei, who's an impersonator. He's like, I'm actually one of your guys. Hi, I'm a friend. He's like the spy from Team Fortress. With a boarding shotgun. I had a Al-Hawa forward observer with boarding shotgun and decharges. He's like another scout guy. He's like a cool scout with camouflage. He's got good equipment. I like him. I had a Barid hacker with a hacking device, a rifle and marker. Pretty cool dude. I don't really need the hacking so much, but it's good to have the options. I had a Shihab remote, which is a heavy machine gun remote with total reaction, so it fires full burst all the time. Very good piece to hold down some fire lanes. And then my lieutenant was Tarek Masrumi, or Captain Hakislam, with AP rifle and light shotgun, nanopulsar, grenades. He's just a really cool Rambo piece to go up and whoop some people's asses. I really enjoy having him in the list. So we set up. My whole idea was I'm going to see how he handled it, and then had the impersonator ready to go into the front door if he had opened it. I had the Ahawa ready to go in, a bunch of dudes ready to just go in there if necessary. So he started his turn. I took two from his smaller combat group, which had the bandit, who was a forward observer or a hacker or something. It was a hacker. Unfortunately, that group used all of its orders getting the bandit to the door, had one chance to open it, and rolled a 13 instead of a 12, so did not open the door. That's good for me. The rest of his guys just, did some suppressive fire, because I left him no lines of fire to my dudes without really getting out there. And he just jockeyed for position, moved some guys in some good positions, and waited for me. So my turn one. The guys have to go first. I had them on either flank of the board. The one on my right flank ran up, didn't really get shot at or anything. It was fine. He just moved up and said, "Hey, I'm a Ghazi." The other one moved forward and prompted the intruder who was covering that flank with a viral sniper rifle to pop up and take shots at him. Or not viral sniper rifle, regular sniper, multi-sniper rifle, and he hit but did not kill me. So thumbs up for me. I got to live through that. At that point, I had him hang out there. I only have to use his impetuous order right away, not his irregular. So at that point, I had my engineer walk forward. I actually coordinated order with one of my command points also to move 4 guys at the same time. And they walked forward and got into good position. And he put demo charges on the wall. Did third of the damage to the wall with the first one. Placed the second one, which ended up blowing up the wall. So now, instead of opening the doors, I had a nice big hole in the wall. I could walk in willy-nilly. He walked in, reached into one of the armory dispensers, and pulled out a heavy light flamethrower, which I'm like, job's a good one. I think he's got this covered. So I had him hung out in there. Didn't bring anyone else in. Had some other guys staged to go next. I had my Lasik got into a firefight with a... he took down one of his dudes. I forget what he was. It was a bandit or something. And then got in a firefight with an intruder with a heavy machine gun and lost the firefight, unfortunately. She took one hit, was okay. The second hit put her down, unfortunately. Back on the left flank, I had the Delami, who had managed to infiltrate successfully. Limited infiltration, or inferior infiltration, means he has to go on the enemy side of the table, which means I have to take a Fizz roll -3. And if I pass it, I'm good. If not, he's just another trooper in the backfield. It has to be along my table edge, which includes the side, so it needs to be 12 inches up on the side, but keeping your infiltration or your camouflage makes him a lot better. So I had him roll up the table. The intruder was very worried about him. I apparently thought he was one of those pop out, chain rifle dudes that could kill an intruder not fairly easily, but it's an expensive piece to lose to a generally not terribly expensive piece. So he kept his dodge ready, kept waiting to either shoot me if I revealed myself or dodge. I made my way behind him because you get stealth with camouflage, which is fun. And shot him with my light shotgun. He dodged because I started in his front, so he decided he could dodge even though I had stealth and you can't react, but all good. When I came around, I saw a Alguacil, which I thought was part of the Link team originally, or an extra for the Link team. Like, oh, there's that dude. And he just tried to discover me. So I'm like, yeah, whatevs. I just revealed myself, shot the intruder twice with a light shotgun. He lived through it, but failed his roll, so he could not turn around. And then next, I'm like, put another order. It's the last order for that group. And I decided to Panzerfaust that Alguacil, because he was a good Panzerfaust range. It's hard to get that. It's not a close range weapon, not a long range weapon, so it's difficult to get that in good range. So I fire that off, hit and explode, and then he tells me he's in loss of lieutenant, which is good for me because when you lose your lieutenant, all of your non-veterans, and I think religious troops are differently affected also, become irregular, so they only have an order for themselves, so you have no order pool. Each guy gets one action. You can use some command points to get yourself some regular orders, but that's a lot of command points to just function. So I finished that guy. He just hung out there with the intruder because I didn't have any more orders to use. At that point I was done. His turn. He tried to make the best of his limited order pool. He had a bunch of jockeying for position moving up since I didn't cover things terribly well because I was that heavy machine gun taking on my sniper, and he was a legitimate threat. In cover with camo, he's -6 to hit. That's really difficult to get through. I was -6 to hit also, but he's actually got a higher ballistic skill than my sniper, which is understandable considering he's twice the points of my sniper. My sniper's not terribly expensive. So thumbs up there. That one, he got to get some positions. He started having his guys around. His bandit managed to open all the doors, which was good because he only had one chance at that. Then he started trying to concoct plans to get in and dislodge me. But as it turns out, his plans were all just because the way I put stuff, anything that came through the doorway was going to get hit with the heavy machine gun from the Shihab, and would also eat whatever the engineer had, which is a rifle light shotgun and the light flamethrower. So he threw a smoke grenade down so I wouldn't get any shots there, and then just tried to engage me hoping that he would be able to dodge past the machine gun fire at close range, which is not ideal for machine gun, and engage the guy and then kill me later. But unfortunately for him, the light flamethrower means that when he comes out of the cloud, I fire light flamethrower, and if he doesn't pass his save, it functionally negates the whole engagement. And he did not pass his save, so his guy burned to death. At that point, he decided to suck it up, eat the fact that I was going to control it for a second turn, and hope to do something else in the next turn. My turn, I reinforced the room with one of the Naftoons with a heavy flamethrower, because, hey, that's what's better than a light flamethrower? A light flamethrower and a heavy flamethrower. I had, and that was in the combat group from the Delami, who had unfortunately bid it to the Intruder. The Intruder had an X-Visor, so he doesn't care about short range for a sniper rifle. He did manage to kill me there, so, hey, good play on him. Sorry. My Nazmat had managed to get to the top of the building and revive the sniper, who popped up and took out the heavy machine gun finally. 2 dice to 1 is going to happen eventually. He's only got a slight advantage over me. So thumbs up there. Took him down. With him down, my Lieutenant Tariq who had sort of advanced a little bit up the side, not getting in any good line of sight, was free to start Ramboing, and Rambo he did. He came up the side, shooting guys as he goes. A couple of the guys just threw some smoke grenades, did good smoke dodges, and I did not manage to get them. Actually, prior to me actually engaging with Tariq, I had the Ghazi on that side. He came up and did some chain rifle stuff, managed to take out a couple dudes, and before he went down, I'd forgotten he had Dogged, which lets him continue to fight after he takes his wound. But at the end of the turn, he's dead, not just unconscious. It is what it is. Tariq followed him up, managed to take out a couple of members of his link team. I came around a corner and forgot there was a freaking Jaguar there with a light shotgun, which is unfortunate. So as I take shots, I'm like, well, I'm going to have to put a shot into him. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to put 2 into that person with my rifle and 1 into your Jaguar, and hope. His Jaguar, I was no cover from him, light shotguns. +6, so he's like, I got a 17 or less to hit you. He rolled like a 15, so the only way I was getting out of that was the crit. So I crit. Take down that poor Jaguar, unfortunate for him. Take out another member of his link team. Then I follow up by firing some shots into his rifle shots into his tag, who I have line of sight to. AP rifle's pretty good, but he managed to make some really kick-ass saves. His tag manages to shrug it off and then turn to face me by failing its guts roll. He only had a certain amount of movement, so he got to cover and turned to face me. But at that point, I still had the room covered. Tariq was in cover, facing off against the tag. Thought was pretty safe. My other Ghazi had moved up and managed. The Intruder was facing the other way. I managed to get up. I did manage to chain rifle at him, but I was within 8 inches, so he made his dodge roll and turned to face me. Not much I could do there. That was my own stupid fault. I could have actually chain rifled him from outside of 8 inches, but there's no pre-measure in this game, so it's not easy peasy. So there's that. I had good overwatch with my sniper. I figured good pass a turn to him. He takes his turn. The first thing he does is actually have the Gecko shoot at Tariq. Tariq loses the face-to-face roll, which happens. He hits me once. I make my save because Tariq's decent armor in cover, and I choose to fail and dodge out of line of sight. There's no advantage to staying in line of sight. It's a few orders. There was just nothing good to happen at that point. I could stay there and hope to win the next face-to-face, but why bother? He had Senior Massacre, who was able to lay down smoke for Senior Massacre and have Senior Massacre come in and actually attack. He had Assault, so he can get into melee with my Engineer. So he does. He eats Light Flamethrower, Heavy Flamethrower, and the Heavy Machine Gun, and dies a horrible screaming death, but does kill the bejeebus out of my Engineer. Actually, does not. He wounded him, but I made my save. I rolled like a 17 to save, which is like balls crazy. Nothing kills you at that point. The Engineer just tanked it. He had his Intruder shoot my Ghazi. I responded by firing off my Emirat, which basically is EM2 ammo and fucks up a lot of stuff. So I isolated his Lieutenant, which puts him in loss of Lieutenant again. It doesn't affect him because his turn already started, but at that point he just shook my hand because he'd only gotten 1 point from telemetry because he data scanned my Engineer from outside the room. He did not get his Extreme Prejudice, which requires him to coup de grace against a unconscious model. My 2 were telemetry, which I might have gotten to do, but we stopped the game before I had a chance to test. It wasn't a big deal at that point. And the experimental drug, which lets me to recover someone by using a doctor room skill or medkit, which I did do with my sniper. So end result, I win a sizable victory. Honestly, I think if I'd gotten my second one, it would have been like 10-2. As we stopped, it was 9-2 or 10-1. It was 9-1. So good enough. We're not really ego. We're not doing points. Just having a good time. So there you go. It's a slightly overlong battle report, but it was super cool, super fun. I taught him that you need to play a good shell game with your lieutenant. Maybe keep him a little more in cover. Maybe use your guys. If I'm coming around towards your lieutenant, you're going to have to do something about it. You can't just dodge. You're going to have to take a chance with the model so you don't lose your lieutenant. And also taught him that link teams are not the end-all be-all. Sometimes you can just pick one off here or there and out-tank them and get them down. So there you go. That's part one of the mini section. Is what's turning out to be an overlong session. What I'm going to do though is I'm going to talk about our upcoming Star Wars Armada campaign. Words are escaping me. It's almost like I've been drinking and I haven't really. Where there's four of us. There's Bowie, Not Brushhead Dave, and Al Marshall. Not Brushhead Dave and Al Marshall are going to be the Imperial side. Bowie and I are going to be the Rebel side. And we're going to play the full campaign out of the Corellian conflict box, which is cool. Now, the biggest change about this a campaign versus a regular games is you can only have one upgrade per ship. That may not seem too crazy to you, but when you're looking at my average list, let's say, I mean, here's one of my average lists. I have 3 upgrades on the first ship and 5 on the second ship, and then 3 on another ship. I mean, that's pretty crazy. You're losing between 2 and 4 upgrades for some of your ships, which can be a problem. So it requires you to build whole new lists. Just for another comparison, here's another one where one ship's got 5, this ship's got 2, this ship's got 3, this ship's got 2. So every ship is losing some of its points. So unfortunate, but it is what it is. It's gonna be interesting because we're all on the same table there. The other big difference is that if ships are destroyed or squadrons are destroyed, they become scarred, which hurts them. And if a scarred ship is destroyed again, it goes away forever, which means your whole army could end up going away. They do have rules for bringing a brand new fleet in if you need to, but you don't want to have to get there. Better to not. So it brings some weird ideas. I think inherently maybe smaller, cheaper ships are better than the more expensive ones, so you can afford to bring them back if they get destroyed. But on the other hand, the bigger ships are harder to destroy. Just much worse if you do. And now the first time you're scarred, you actually just lose one of your defense tokens, your choice, which in some ships is not a big deal. Others is just fucking crushing. So I was going to live build a list, but as we're already at, almost an episode length right here, I'm going to leave you with that as our list, and then next time I'm going to live build my Armada list. I have a couple ideas floating around in my head. I've got 4, it looks like here. Really, let's just say I've got 3 lists, and a couple of them have multiple versions. And also, I wanted more time to look at the MC-75 or Profundity from Rogue One, because it's a really interesting ship, and I think I really like it. It's just different than the other ones. I mean, honestly, the other big ships, and I'm only talking big ships, like the MC-80s, the Mon Cal ships, the standard ones, the giant turds in space, if you will, have very little front and back firepower, but their broadsides are off the chain. These salt cruisers got, 4 long-range red dice and 2 medium-range blue dice on each side, and even the command cruiser has 3 long-range red dice and 3 mid-range blue dice on each side. It's got good shields all around, 4s on every side except the rear, which is 3. It's really tough. The assault cruiser even has a double defensive upgrade, which unfortunately doesn't help you in the slightest in this game, because you can't take 2. I mean, you can build to it, but still. They're also expensive as fuck. The MC-80 assault cruiser is 114 points, while the command cruiser is 106 points. It also leads to a play style. They're kind of slow, so all you can do is cross his T and hope you can maneuver enough to keep him in your side arc. But they actually are maneuverable enough that I don't think that's going to be a problem. But I've never actually used one, so I don't know. I don't like slow ships, but we'll see. On the other hand, the MCD Battle Cruiser, which is a different hull, is really weird. It's cheaper. They're 103 and 96 points, and they have 5 shields up front, but only 2 on the sides and rear. And their front armament is crazy good, and the rest is not as good. The Battle Cruiser has 4 red dice and 3 blue dice to the front, but only 2 red and a blue to the sides and a blue and a red to the back. While the Star Cruiser variant, which is the cheaper of the two, has 4 blue dice and 3 red to the front, and then still 2 red and a blue to the sides and 2 blue to the rear. So kind of weird because their side firepower is less than the next lower ship, and sometimes significantly lower than other ships. Now, what makes the MC-75 or Profundity a bit different? One, I really, really like the way it looks. The MC-80 is fine. I like the Liberty style, which is the MC-80 Battle Cruiser and Star Cruiser with the wings, better. And I really like the Assault Frigate, which is the weird, sort of like the weird one. If you look at the Rebel ships, it's the weird one. Kind of like the Pelta, but it still, feels contemporary. Like the Avion Bleat B is really difficult to use. I've never figured it out, but I like the way it looks like a spaceship. There's no way that's even atmospheric. The M75 is like that with the big spire down and all that, and the armored bulk in front and all. It's really interesting, and it's a good sort of middle ground between the other two ships. It's actually tougher hull-wise. It's got 1 more hull point of damage. It's cheaper than all of them, being 104 and 100 points, depending if you want the armored cruiser or the ordnance cruiser. Good stats for command squadron engineering, at least for the armored. Good command ship. And then weapons-wise, it's just very strange. For the few ships that has torpedoes and ion cannons and turbolasers, or black dice, blue dice, and red dice. The armored cruiser has 3 blue dice and 2 black dice, which are short range, to the front, where it has 4 shields. The sides are only 3 shields, but they have 3 red and 2 blue, which is really weird. So it stands off with the sides and comes in with the front. And then the rear has a black and a blue. Now the ordnance version has more black dice because it's an ordnance cruiser, and it actually loses the turbolaser and the ion slot for double missile slots, which you can do some horrific things with. It has 2 blue and 3 black to the front, and then 3 red and 2 black to the sides, and 2 black to the rear. So it's pretty interesting. I kind of want to try to fit those in, but none of my lists currently have them, so I might be theorying that up. But like I said, that will come next time in our gaming section, and I'll pimp it out here just so you know. If you're interested in Armada and you start playing it, there is a great website with a fleet builder. It's called Armada Warlords. Just Google Armada Warlords. And it'll come up. He's done a great job. He's back to updating it regularly, which is cool, which means I'm going to support him again on Patreon. I was when I was first playing this game a lot, and now that it looks like I'm going to be playing it for a bit, I will be doing that again. So that's it for the miniature section. Run! Alright, here's where I leave you guys for a little bit. You guys won't really notice any time, because I'm just going to pause this, go down, make my dinner, watch the movie, and come back and have some live thoughts on XXX, The Return of Xander Cage. And I'm back! So, I saw that movie in the theater when it came out, and I think I enjoyed it just as much now. Start off, it's only about an hour and 47 minutes long. I do have IMDb up because I want to get some of the actors' names right, because it has actors from several different continents. Start off, of course, Vin Diesel reprising his role as Xander Cage. Then the whole plot, let's get into that, is some very badass spy team steals Pandora's box, which can crash satellites into the planet, from the CIA and the NSA, and basically they crash a satellite on Gibbons, reprising his role, Samuel L. Jackson, of course. Not really so much the same character, I'll be honest. He's more of playing Samuel L. Jackson, doing whatever he wants, but it's Samuel L. Jackson. He does whatever he wants. So that gets all of the world's spy leaders in one place, and they have a briefing and find out that this whole thing is being done by Pandora's box, which can crash satellites into the ground, like I said. And since some badass team that no one can find, they're ghosts and all that, they're very athletic, very badass, and so Tony Collette, who I've never seen anything before really, who's in charge of NSA, I guess, taking over for Samuel Jackson's character, decides to go find Xander Cage on the Dominican Republic. That she recruits him. He goes and finds out information on them through, as it is, of course, his. He can get information on anything. He knows so many people, and of course, he has to bed some ladies to get the information because you got to have all of his lines in there. This movie does have a bit of sequelitis, as they have to do a lot of these throwbacks to the first movie, not so much the second one. But so he gets information and goes and finds, gets his own team because he doesn't want to use the bullshit, SEAL Team 6 analog as his backup because he doesn't trust him because they don't respect him, and that's like Tony Gonzalez and some other guys. I'll be honest, Tony Gonzalez might as well not have been in here. He didn't have a big enough role to really be worth a damn. In case he gets his own team, which consists of course, himself, Chris Wu, who I have not seen in anything before. He's a Chinese-Canadian actor in China, who's big in China. Not a lot of credits. Been in some of the Journey to the West stuff, which is interesting. He's like a, obviously everyone badass. He's kind of a badass. I don't always say hacker, but he's like a face man. Everyone likes him. He's fun at a party. He's also a great DJ and all. So he has some unique skills. A little out of his depth here in spy business. He also has Ruby Rose, who you'll remember from John Wick 2 as the mute bodyguard assassin coming after him as Adele Wolf. She actually does very well. Man, I like John Wick 2, but they definitely missed the boat by having her be mute because she has good charisma. She's an Australian actress. She does very well in it. And last member of his team is Rory McCann playing Tennyson Torch, who's the driver, but man, he's like a big dude. He crashes into things. That's his thing. He actually played the big dumb guy in Hot Fuzz, looking here on IMDb, which is interesting. But he's kind of amusing. And they're hunting down a different team that turns out to be Triple X members that were recruited by Gibbons, who went rogue because they don't trust the government, which includes Donnie Yen, which is great as their leader. Deepika Padukone? I don't know. She's an Indian actress as Serena. She does pretty well in this as well. She's quite a Jesus. She has a heck of a IMDb. She's got quite a few movies to her credit, so she's been in a bunch of stuff. Looks like most of it Bollywood, but that's fine. Then also on his team is Michael Bisping, who I don't know, but he plays sort of like a muscle type. And then finally is someone named Talon, who is played by Tony Jaa. And of course, obviously Tony Jaa is pretty good. He's been in a bunch of his own movies. They fight a little bit. Trebek's teams, I don't say captures, but Serena, played by the Indian actress, wants to destroy the Pandora's boxes. No one should have that kind of power. And after Vin Diesel and Donnie Yen, they have this little three-way, I would say standoff, because she's kind of on his team, but this three-way conversation about it. The Russians come in and everyone gets to fight. They all got good scenes. Everyone's kick a little ass in that. It's very cool. Unfortunately, it's followed by a not very cool scene of Vin Diesel whooping people's butt on a bike, which a little too much CGI in that. A couple of the stunts are legit, which are cool. Unfortunately, a couple of the stunts are not legit and are not that great. Not terrible, but just a little under average. Not the best. But then he chases Donnie Yen. They're both riding motorbikes that apparently can ride on water, which is about the point where you think this movie's going to go straight to hell. But they ride out there, and he manages to get the upper hand and get Pandora's box. And then Serena shows back up and shoots it. But then they find out that another satellite's been dropped, and somehow there's another Pandora's box out there. So she joins with Vin Diesel's team. They track it to Detroit. There's this Becky, who's their tech support, who's a little too much, is the best way to say it. Played by Nina Dobrev. She's just a bit too much. She's a little too bubbly, a little too chatty. She is like Felicity Smoke from Arrow taken up a notch, which is too much. They needed to pull her back a bit. It'd been fine. But everyone is sort of a caricature in this, so you get an idea, because there's no time to build anyone. There's no time to get a background. I mean, there's some conversation between Serena and Xander Cage that give a little background on her, which is cool. But most of the rest have to be sort of characters, because I mean this is like the action equivalent of a heist movie where they got all the stars in it, an ensemble movie. But they're not all big stars here, but they're all look like they're reasonably big stars somewhere. That's one of the cool things about this is you've got so many people in it that I mean it has a wide. I mean it's got one of the most diverse casts I've ever seen. Women are not just there to be romantic interests. They have conversations that don't involve anything to do with Vin Diesel character or romance or anything, which is cool. So I enjoy the heck out of that. It's got a lot of character. Basically at the end, the whole thing is of course someone else who works the government's behind this whole thing, and then they get backstabbed, and they all work together, and they all kick a lot of ass. And at the end, just to spoil a big moment, but I hope you've seen it by now, they have Ice Cube come out to reprise his role from Triple X State of the Union as Darius Stone. And he's full on in I'm a bad man mode. It's just actually kind of humorous. But he's not in the movie much, but it's a fun moment when he shows up. And honestly, the two there's like maybe two really main action scenes in this and a couple minor ones. The two main action scenes are quite good. They have some mediocre parts, but overall I would classify them as quite good. The characters are just enjoyable. It's a more fun movie. I enjoy the fuck out of it. I enjoy it way more than this movie deserves. This movie's only got a 5.2 out of 10 on IMDb. Metacritic has it as a 42, which puts it sort of middle of the roadish, more on the lower end. I'm sure its Rotten Tomatoes is an interesting score. I will actually look that up for you guys since I'm thinking about it doing all that stuff right now. Triple X Eternal Xander Cage has a 45% from the critics and 38 from the audience, which is weird because I really enjoy it way more than that. But it is kind of my kind of movie. I like sort of that ensemble cast. It's not too dumb. A couple of the points are a little much, and a couple points are very much very much Vin Diesel's ego, as Xander Cage being a little much, but very enjoyable. It's on Amazon Prime for free. Come on, guys, watch it. It's worth it. I would not steer you wrong. Some solid action, some good stunts, some bad CGI stunts or mediocre CGI stunts, some crazy stuff. You just sit back, have a couple drinks, enjoy the hell out of it. It's a good time. My real rating for it, I'm going to give it a shot and a half a Kraken because it's way better than most of those 2-star movies. It shouldn't be. Like, the individual parts don't seem like it should be better than it, but you just put it together and it's just a sort of, sorry about that, just messed up something there. But like I said, so it is better than some of its part. It's just being a more fun than the parts would suggest action movie. Give it a shot. Like I said, shot and a half a Kraken. Definitely watch it if you can. So there you go. That's an episode, longer one this time. Hope you guys enjoy. I kind of misscheduled. I had the flu, so I couldn't get this out as fast as I wanted to. I'm probably going to try and reward you by doing another episode soon. Next time, movie-wise, we're going to talk about Black Hawk Down, which is on Amazon Prime for free. It is one of my favorite movies. I've seen it, but I want to watch it again and review it. I'm going to do it like this, where I start recording, get the minis part out of the way, and then come back and hit you with the movie after a pause, and I watch it so I fresh in my head, even though probably I could review it without having seen it again because I've seen it a bunch of times. But in any case, and there you go. So Black Hawk Down next time, and then I'm going to live build my Armada list for the campaign as the mini section, maybe a battle report if I've got something to report on that I'm not putting out elsewhere. Again, if you guys have any ideas for me, throw them at me at John O. Spencer on Twitter, John Oakland Spencer on Facebook, or John Oakland Spencer at yahoo.com, or just find More Than Dice, like us, hit us up there. If you listen to this, I mean, you should be a fan of More Than Dice, I'd hope. Let me know what you want to hear. I'm down to take suggestions. If I can get it for free, I will definitely watch it. If I can find it for cheap, I may actually buy it to watch it for you guys. And I'll look at other minis, games, whatever you guys want to hear. I mean, this is not just for me to talk about what I want. I want to talk about what you guys want to hear about too, because, I mean, you guys are supporting us, and this is extra content for you. So again, thank you. Tune in next time, episode 10, live build my Armada campaign list, and talk about Black Hawk Down. Until next time, Ron.